Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a beautiful spring card that I made. It's just a burst of spring flowers. It's a Z-fold card. It folds relatively flat. And then when you open it up, it's just this huge pop of spring floral cheerfulness. I just absolutely love it. And it's fairly time consuming to make only because of all the flowers. If you use store-bought flowers, it would go really quick, but I made all the flowers, and in fact I made a bunch of flowers that I didn't even use. I made more than I needed, but I wasn't sure what I was going to use. So, and there's room for a sentiment right here. It's just a Z-fold card, but it stands up, and it's just beautiful to look at, and it looks like that when it's standing up. So let me show you how it's made. Okay, so we're going to start by making some of the flowers. And the next one I'm going to work on are tulips. And the tulips, actually I'm going to do daffodils. So the next one I'm going to work on are daffodils. These are from Altenew. It's the Craft a Flower Daffodil Layering Die Set. And I've already made a couple. They look like this. And I want 3 of them. So I've got one more that I've cut. And I just need to assemble. And I just cut them out of yellow cardstock. So it's got these little layers that go on the ends of the petals. I ended up not using them. I didn't think they were necessary. So you cut the 3 layers out of just kind of a yellow cardstock. And then I've got my Honey Pot water reactive ink, which is a deep, dark, kind of a goldy yellow. And I'm just going to deepen the center of this bottom layer. Okay. While I've got this out, I'm going to darken some other parts of the flower. Because these are gold, it's a little bit darker yellow, but I want it even darker. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. This is your layer 2. And you can tell that it's layer 2 because it's, you kind of go from the most, area to the least. So this one has the most cut out. So that's the top. So I'll go ahead and get this lined up. Could get it in the right spot. Oh, completely turned around. And now you can see where I deepened that center comes through, and it gives you a nice little contrast. Okay, then I'm going to put this layer on top, and again I'm going to just sort of darken those colors a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit to give it some contrast with the layer underneath. I don't want it as dark as the center is, but I want it darker than the layer that's underneath it. Okay. That's how you get depth and dimension in your flowers, is if you just do minor contrasting colors. They don't have to be completely contrasting. It's not like you have to use yellow cardstock for one layer and orange cardstock for the next layer. You can literally cut all of the layers out of the same cardstock and just use a little bit of ink to give a different, slightly different, darker shade on, one of the layers or parts of a layer. And that's enough. That's all you have to do. And you'll see when I put this on how it gives you that nice contrast. And it looks like 3 different colors of cardstock, but it's not. And then we're going to put the center together. And you can tell how to put these together. This particular Craft a Flower from Altenew is one of the older ones, I think. So it's not the keyhole system that I talk about all the time that I really like, but it does show you you know, how you put the layers on. And these are those little ends that go on the ends of the petals that I didn't use. I didn't feel the need to, so I didn't use them. But and for these little tiny pieces, sometimes it's just easier to use your tweezers. And now to put that last layer on them, I am going to use my 3D glue gel just to give it a little bit of height, to make it look like that top is really coming up. And you can use, see, I used a darker yellow cardstock for that one and a lighter yellow. That's okay. I'm okay with that to get a little bit of variation. Now let's do the leaves. The leaves also have layers on them. And I used that goldy yellow ink to darken the layers as well. And when you have a color like the green, if you put kind of this dark gold on it, it doesn't turn it yellow, but it does darken it and changes the hue, the tone just a little bit, which is really all I want. I just want a little bit of variation so that it's not exactly the same. Sometimes if you put the leaf behind a flower like this, it's nice because you can glue the leaf onto the flower, and then it helps kind of hold it. And you don't want to do it all exactly the same so that they're all marching in a row. So I'm going to do some like more up underneath like that. Okay, so there's my daffodils, and I'm just doing, the array of spring blooms. So there's my daffodils. I got my gladiolas. Now I'm going to do a crocus, and this is an Altenew set as well. You find it here. It's the Altenew crocus layering die set, Craft a Flower. And it's got two crocuses and a bud, plus the leaves. And I already did one of each. So there's my one of each. And then I wanted another one of those with the bud. But I didn't need another one of those. So I just cut the pieces for that one. And as you can see, I cut them out of white. And then I'm just going to ink them. So the way that I inked these is I started with this super light yellow. It's straw bale, the bottom of this, and this bottom part's going to get covered up by green, so I'm not too worried about that, but I want to get my straw bale up a little bit, and then I'm going to ink straw bale in the center of these petals, kind of coming out. So this light yellow, a little more, coming out about a third of the way. Then for the stamens, I came back with some red just to give them a little bit different look so that they'd stand out, sort of that reddish yellow. Then on the petals, I went from the light yellow to a light purple. This is, again, a Harmony Water Reactive, and it's Pale Fig. I'm just going to kind of start in the bottom of the yellow and move out towards the edge. And then I went with a darker purple, which is in the Harmony Water Reactive inks. This is Crushed Velvet, which is a medium purple. And we're going to do the rest of the petal in that Crushed Velvet. We're just going to ombre those out. Then I took my darkest purple, which is Damson Wine in the Harmony Water Reactives, and just kind of darkened those edges. So we're going to start with, and then I've got my greenery as well. I'm going to put my green on the bottom. Then I'm going to start with my number 1. This is my keyhole system again, and go with my number 2 on top. Then number 3 is one of the little stamens. Number 4 is the other part of the stamen. Number 5 is this little 2-petal. Okay. And then the last thing is this one goes right on top, just like that. And you just cover up all of your workings with that last petal. Now these, there's not a keyhole system, but you can follow the instructions and it tells you. And basically you just line them up. So that one goes right on top. I'm going to offset it just a little bit. It's supposed to go right on top, but I liked it kind of offset so it looked like there's an extra petal back there. I mean, you've already created it and inked it, so why not? And then this one goes like that. And then we're going to put the bud, and I'm going to put this one on this side, I think, like that. And there's my crocuses. Okay, my tulips are also all to new. It's the Craft a Flower Tulip Full Bloom. And it's got 2 tulips, an open and a shut. And I've already done one of each. And I'm going to make one more of just the closed tulip because I wanted an odd number. So I cut them all out of yellow. This is also the keyhole system, so you can see. So what I did with these is I cut them out of yellow cardstock, and then I used red ink. This is water reactive Chinese red. And I just blended red up from the bottom, about half to 2/3 of the way of each petal. Put a little bit stronger color on the edges. Again, as I was describing it, it helps separate those petals when they're stacked up if you just darken those edges. Okay, now to build my flower, we start with 1. And again, all of these, even with the keyhole system, they have directions. Now this one's a little bit more complicated because you can see here it says place under and place under, but it's very, very nicely documented. So I'll show you. Let me get the foliage up here, and then I can bring the instructions in so you can see it. So we start with 1, and we put 2 on top, match that keyhole. Okay, and then 3 goes on there. And this one actually has 2 sets of keyholes with different shapes. So you line up both of those. Okay, then we got 4, which goes and lines up this keyhole onto there. And it shows you that right here on the instructions. And basically it's just creating a wider flower so that now you can start lining up 5, which goes, it says place petal 5 under petal 4. So you want to put glue on this one and then line it up from the back there. And then it says place petal 6 under petal 5 and petal 1. Okay. And this one goes on that one hole, like that. Okay. And then these 2 go on the top like that. But before I do that, I got to put these on. Okay, so this one's supposed to go back there, so that's not going to go because it's not going to fit. This one was supposed to go on there. I should have followed the directions a little closer, but this one goes in here, and I can make it work. This one was supposed to go on here. Let's see if it's going to matter. Oh, I can still get it on there because that's going to get covered up anyway. This is where, once you know where they are, even if you make a mistake, you can almost always fix it. So it goes on like that. And just adds another petal. Okay? And then these go on. Let's see, this one goes on first and then that one. And if you offset these just a little, it makes, you can see the petal underneath, and it just makes it look a little bit more full, even though it's supposed to completely line up with that one. But I just offset it just a little bit. And now we've got foliage. And I'm going to hold on to this foliage. I'm not going to attach it yet until I actually put the tulips on my card. And then I'll put the foliage on. Similar to the gladiolas, I did not put any foliage on. I'm going to wait and do that after I build my card. Okay, so there's all of my flowers. And set my flowers back because I'm going to build my card. So it's a 6x6, they call it a Z-fold or a Z-fold card. And it looks like this. So it's a 6x6 card blank. So 12x6 folded, scored at 6, and then you just score that center at 3. So if this was 5x5, this would be scored at 2.5. So you could make it any size you want. You could even make it 5x7. Just score that front in the middle. And then this piece is exactly the same as this, only it's 2.5 inches high. So whatever you did here, do the same thing again and just cut it shorter. And then it goes like this. And then you're going to flip it over and attach it like that. And that gives you your Z-fold card. Okay. But I'm going to mat and layer all my pieces before I hook that together. So I've got some cardstock to mat and layer. This is from the Crafter's Companion's Secret Garden. And I know you've probably heard me say it before, but it's one of my favorite paper pads. I love it. I think it has beautiful papers and they make great backgrounds for floral cards. So since my card blank is 6x6, these, I didn't want much of the white showing. So I cut this to almost exactly 3x6. It's just shy. And the only reason I made it shy is because I don't want it to hang over the score line. Okay, once you get that all matted and layered, then you're going to glue it on. And I put mine right at the bottom of the card. You can always raise it up if you want, but I liked it right at the bottom of the card. And you're going to put glue, when it's folded up, you're going to put glue here and here, but not here and here. So fold that up. And I'm going to do this with my tacky glue because I want it to grab. And then with your card folded up, just line it up. And it should be even on the sides and on the bottom. And that gives you your Z-fold card. Okay? Now, to give you someplace to put your flowers, you need to put some little cross pieces in here. And this is 3 inches wide right here because it's the difference between the, it's this distance or, and so what I did is I cut these are 2 inches high by 4 inches long, scored at 1/2 inch each. And I've got 2 of them, and I always fold them this way, so one's going forward and one's going back. I don't know why, that's just the way that I do it. And you're going to put some glue on these little tabs. and you're just going to slide them in where you want them. And then when I get them in, I just kind of close my card up like that, and then they will go where they want to go. That's the easiest. I don't know how to describe that, but rather than trying to measure and get them in exactly the right spot, just use a wet glue, and then they kind of just, once you get one part in like that, then just close it up. Make sure your tabs are bent the right way when you close it, and then they will end up in the right spot. I don't know how else to explain that, but if you, I've tried to do it, you know, like before you put this piece on and measure it, and they never come out in the right spot. So now that you got your cross pieces in there, now it's just about decorating. So now you just place your flowers wherever you want them. So I'm going to start with my daffodils. I'm going to use my 3D glue gel because it gives me, one, a little dimension, and two, a little bit of time if I want to move them around. I did make some of these little tiny tulips, and this is using a Lawn Fawn die. What's it called? Terrific Tulips from Lawn Fawn, and they make these little tulips and foliage. And I've got some of those, and I think I'm going to put some of these just in the front, just for a little bit of fullness. I got to stand it up so I can see what I'm doing. I think I like that just the way it is, and I'm going to leave it just like that. It's my spring bouquet of flowers, and I'm going to leave that because I think that's a perfect spot for a sentiment. So that's why I'm going to leave that blank. But love, love, love that. Didn't use all the flowers that I cut out, but that's okay. It folds. I don't want to fold it too much because I got wet glue in there, but it folds relatively flat actually, but it looks beautiful sitting folded. And then when you open it up, it's just this gorgeous bouquet of spring flowers. I'm ready for spring, so I love that. Anyway, hope you like that. Thanks for watching.